Hey folks, I'm Clayton Collins, CEO at HousingWire and your host for the Powerhouse podcast. Today I have the opportunity to interview two guests who are actually the co-authors of a book that drops this week called Rethink Everything about being a NextGen loan originator. The authors of the book and our guests on today's podcast are Brian Vieaux and Kyle Draper. Brian is the president and CEO at FinLocker. You probably have seen Brian's content on LinkedIn or know him through the industry with 34 years of experience. And Kyle Draper is a video marketing therapist, and he's also the author of another book called Rethink Everything that you know about social media. Brian and Kyle have combined forces to bring together an incredible suite of knowledge about next-gen loan origination to the mortgage community. They share a lot of that knowledge today, everything from mindset to very specific tactics on video and social media. I hope you enjoy this episode with Brian and Kyle, and go check out their book, Rethink Everything about being a next-gen loan originator. We're back for another episode of Powerhouse, and today, kind of breaking the mold a little bit. I usually have a strong preference for only having one guest on the show for the conversational aspect, but today we're breaking the mold. We have two guests. We have the esteemed Kyle Draper and Brian Vieaux. Brian, Kyle, welcome to Powerhouse.
It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Clayton.
Well, we're recording this episode, kind of at a really interesting time in our industry, but also an interesting time for each of you, as a pretty cool piece of content. A book is dropping like as we speak. Brian, give me a quick glimpse into this book, like really quick. We're gonna go deeper later, but like, what are we dropping tomorrow?
So tomorrow, the book, Rethink Everything You Know About Being a Next-Gen Loan Officer, will be available on Amazon. Kyle and I are collaborating with now 37 of our best friends in the industry to bring this book to the loan officer community.
I mean, kudos for pulling together 37 people into hopefully what will be a coherent piece of content. That is pretty cool. So rethinking everything, we're going to go deeper there, but I want to set the stage with some background on why the two of you are uniquely positioned to provide this advice to the loan origination community. So Brian, today we know you as president of FinLocker, but I also know you have a deep background in mortgage origination. We initially met when you were leading a TPO channel at a large bank. So give us a quick glimpse into your background in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, so 34 plus years now in the industry, the first 30 squarely in mortgage production. I started as a loan officer in 1991. There was no point of sale. There was no CRM. It was, as old school as you get. And then I kind of grew into a management role early on and have managed loan officer teams, TPO teams, as you said, but I've only ever been in and around the mortgage industry, and by extension, in and around loan officers my entire life and career.
Pretty phenomenal. And Kyle, what's your background? How do you come into this this mortgage fold?
Well, Clayton, Brian and I have a combined 34 years in the mortgage world. And so on average, like I've been in about 17 years if we get to take our average. Because I've never been on the loan origination side. I used to be a pastor, and then I got into the real estate world in the marketing vein, and through serving realtors, loan originators, and mortgage people, started paying attention. And I looked up and was like, why am I getting invited to speak at mortgage events about social media? And so here we are, zero mortgage experience, but a little bit of knowledge. But my main focus is really helping lenders really understand their story and then put it out there through video and social media so that they have the ability to be top of mind to people when their home buying needs show up.
So communication strategies, social media strategies can be pretty coherent and pulled across different markets. So like mortgage is one market where you can apply a certain communication approach. Kyle, how did you start to frame your social media and marketing expertise for mortgage? That first time you're invited to a stage, how did you try to frame it in a way that was relevant to that audience?
Dude, here's what's wild. I've never framed anything I've done for a lender. I have always spoke to a realtor, and what I found is it's almost like reverse psychology, that because I'm not saying, hey, lender, pay attention, their guard is down and they're now paying more attention without me having to say anything. And it just kind of accidentally happened. And then in general, like my approach to social media is very agnostic. The reality is if we need people, whoever needs people to sell a product or a service, you need social media to be top of mind. And so what it's really been about is just helping lenders understand that, like, you can't just sit behind a computer screen and mash buttons all day. You've got to be out there. And while you're having one coffee, I just did a video that 400 people saw. And so come on, guys, like there is a better way to stay top of mind, to educate, to be seen as an expert. And that's really been the story in the narrative.
So you say you've never framed a social message on stage for the loan origination community. So what advice are you giving originators on how to connect with those 400 people that are seeing that video? What is the message that they're supposed to deliver, which brings relevancy to this medium?
The message is this: what do your people need? Right? You're the expert. As the loan originator, you're the expert of money, of finance, right? And so what do you hear people talking about most often and getting wrong? What questions are you receiving and dealing with in your day-to-day interactions with people? And then where do you watch people get stuck? When you say a phrase, we have tons of jargon in the mortgage space. And so when you say that jargon and they go, whoa, what is that? Right? If we go, oh, if this person doesn't know what that is, then a lot of other people on the internet probably don't know what it is. And so from that framework, if that's what we're listening for, then that should become what we're educating to. And then it's just through that education that they are able to go get more business from the people that they already know that just are currently forgetting that they exist.
So that framing of where do people get stuck? What issues do you help solve? That's advice that can help an agent. Their mind goes to the places where they or their clients get stuck. Can help an originator. Their mind goes to the places where they or their clients get stuck. That can also apply to an executive who's trying to attract a talent or drive a business forward. Have you had executives come to you and say, "Hey, Kyle, this is great for agents and originators. What the heck am I doing here?"
Yes, but they usually say it like this. I just had a guy last week. He's a regional VP for a large company. And he was like, man, like, I need your help. My LOs need to be better on social media. He's like, I don't. And I was like, whoa. What do you mean you don't? He's like, well, like, I don't produce and I don't. And I said, man, do you recruit? Are you a leader? And he said, yeah. And I was like, well, then you need to you don't need to be doing the same thing, but like you need to be serving people and positioning yourself as a leader and an authority. And that's going to make your recruiting so much easier when somebody goes, who is so-and-so? And now I type their name in my phone and I go, oh, I just got more value in this one video than my actual VP has ever provided to me. And we work in the same room. And so that's man, when that light bulb comes on, like it's such an advantage for the person that chooses to go all in.
I just got back from Nashville. I went to spend a couple of days with Brian Covey, and I was a guest on his podcast. We actually talked a lot about that, about attraction and education, providing value through the podcast, through video content, through social content. And like the result of that is like attracting like the right people, and you can like recruit and build and attract teams without actually ever having to say, I'm here to recruit. That's right. Like it's attraction.
And Brian is an incredible example of that. That dude has killer video content.
So when audience who's listening and not watching the video, when I asked Kyle about the executive question, Brian's hand shot up in the air. So Brian, give us a glimpse into your evolution on social.
Yeah. So as you know, Clayton, I've been at FinLocker for 4.5 years, and this is, a startup organization. It was a startup when I got here, and we're still, in a lot of ways, still kind of grinding through that. And so we don't have a massive, marketing and awareness budget, right? So in the tail end of 2022, I kind of made a commitment to go all in on the LinkedIn platform, not to sell FinLocker and promote FinLocker, but first to put myself out there as a thought leader with the ultimate goal behind all that would bring more eyeballs and attention to FinLocker, right? So for me, it was all about consistency. I was an inconsistent, social media guy. And so I committed to post every day for all of 2023. And that turned into like 4 posts a day and like 3 on the weekend. So long story short, 2023, I had 1,440 posts, unique posts, and like 1.7 million impressions. I don't know if that's good or not, but it was a lot better than it was in 2022. And most importantly, I grew my followers, almost 10,000 year over year. And I would say 95% of those connections and followers are in this business, in the industry, which is who we're trying to talk to at FinLocker. And so that work, that effort, and it was work. It's part of my day job now. I've seen the results on our side and in our pipeline, in our new client acquisition. And I really do believe in the power of LinkedIn in particular. That's where I've spent most of my time. I have engagements on there every day, like ongoing threads of communication with prospects and clients and potential partners. And I'm in the middle of Kyle's 90-day boot camp. And so that turned me on to another kind of way to communicate through video, not necessarily on posts. And so every morning, the first thing I do is I fire up my phone, go into LinkedIn, look at my connections that have a birthday, and shoot them each an individual personalized birthday message. It takes 8 seconds to do it. But the feedback and the reaction is like so positive. And I'm not one that then turns around and turns it into a, hey, you should do a demo with us. But there's plenty of conversations that are happening there that are turning into, hey, I really think I need to learn what's going on at FinLocker. And so all that has really, inspired me and Kyle to do what we're doing with this book, which is, if it helps me as a president and COO of a fintech, imagine the power of helping a loan officer who's trying to figure out, how am I going to be successful in this new market with this new cohort of these younger consumers. And guess what? They're digital first. They react to video positively. And so, part of what we do in the book is we have some experts that do this every day, and they share their experience, expertise, best practices around things like, being comfortable and confident on video and active on social and building a personal brand, et cetera.
So I liked earlier, Kyle mentioned that you do a video and 400 people watch it. I really like the framing of that, because one of the temptations or issues on social for a lot of people is this expectation of virality, and that you're going to do a video and hit 4,000 people or 40,000 people or 1 million views, like the vanity metrics. Brian, how do you think about the specificity of the message you have and how it applies to mortgage professionals or executives? And do you ever sacrifice like scale for specificity? Like how does that play into your strategy?
So I don't think I do, but I'm also not smart enough to know whether I would be even trying to do that.
I think you're underselling yourself.
I try to stay, like, I've been intentional, and it's not, I'm not gaming the system, because this is truly what I believe in terms of why we do what we do at FinLocker. So I try to really anchor on my belief, which is I truly believe that the local loan officer can be and should be the most trusted resource for financial education and preparation for first-time home buyers. Period. End of story. That's what I believe. And so 90% of what I'll talk about and put out there will be centered around that kind of belief. Now, my best performing post, if you want to call it that, was a post I did about 10 days ago that didn't talk about financial education and preparation. It talked about how I started in the business in 1991, and I connected the dots on some people who are still good friends of mine that we were young and dumb and got in the business together, and had some photos of myself back in a Source One Mortgage t-shirt, which nobody knows who that was. That thing like outperformed any other post. And it what it taught me, and I learned this in Kyle's boot camp, it taught me that people want to learn from you, but they also want to know you and have some kind of a feeling of a relationship with you. And so sometimes you have to go a layer deeper on what you share out there, because at the end of the day, they're not doing business with the logo you work for. They're really choosing to do business with you as the individual.
Love it. So Brian, your title is on LinkedIn, makes a lot of sense. President and CEO of FinLocker. Kyle, a little more ambiguous here. Video marketing therapist. So Brian mentioned the boot camp a little bit. We've mentioned your first book, Rethinking Everything You Know About Social Media. Where does the therapy come into play? Like what do you have to help people get over?
So it is wild how I can take top producing mortgage people that are swimming in all the things the world says you need to have confidence and value, and they can talk a great game. And then the minute I take my little phone and go, dude, say that into the camera, they're like, what, wait, I don't. And then, so the years of doing this, Clayton, what I've realized is I believe that the video camera on our phones is the most truth-telling mirror we'll ever look into. And so when I try to jump on video, my brain goes, bro, you just made your daughter cry. And now you're going to show up as an expert to all these people, and like you've got life figured out, and you know what you're doing. And so it's just revealing of all of our insecurities and our past failures and hiccups. And we're so great at living these lies or these half-truths when we're with people. But man, video exposes us, because we can only do it so long before people start going, I don't know if I'm buying this guy anymore. And so I added therapist to my title, because I have had more people cry to me about something that happened to them when they were 11. And can you talk to my husband, because he thinks these videos are stupid and I really need him to understand. And so I came home one night and was like, man, I thought I got rid of all this when I stopped being a pastor, man. I thought the business world was going to be easier. And in some ways it's been harder, because I'm dealing with just people that are broken, because we're all broken. But the more we show up, the more it exposes us. And to what Brian said, that also means the more we're willing to share, the more we're willing to be vulnerable, the greater opportunity we're providing us to get connected to others. And it's why people love seeing Brian's picture in his shirt from the 90s, because we love relating to stories from our past, right? And so that's really where the therapist title comes in. I didn't go to school for therapy, right? I don't have a doctorate, but man, like we get weird up here when we start having to look at ourselves in the camera.
I don't know, man. You might need to start pitching some educational institutions. I think social media therapy or video marketing therapy could be a highly paid profession, and it may be better than like family therapy. Or
that's a great idea. That's brilliant. I will write you a check when I start taking that around the country.
Appreciate it. Okay, so let's jump forward. So Kyle, your first book was on rethinking everything that you know about social media. So now we are taking that kind of baseline theme. You and Brian have partnered to publish Rethinking Everything You Need to Know About Being a NextGen Loan Originator. Is that the right? Am I getting the title right there?
That's it,
You're
man.
like
you got it.
You're in the zip code.
I'm in the zip. Give me the exact title so people can go on Amazon and actually find this thing.
Yeah, Rethink Everything You Know About Being a NextGen Loan Officer.
Okay. Tell me the methodology. Brian, where'd you start? How did you come to the knowledge that is in this book?
So, first of all, we were smart enough to know that we needed to get smart people in the project. So This is not a book written by Kyle Draper and Brian Vieaux. We have a very, very small part in this, but it was a book coordinated and collaborated by us, where we brought in some of the best minds in the business. And again, I think, when we started, we thought we'd get 10 or 12, experts, and we'd have another 90, 100-page book that would be super useful for loan officers. And so that ballooned into what it is today. There's 37 chapters in this book, each chapter written by an individual that has their own expertise or success or skill set and knowledge. And we're just thankful of the people that said yes to our request. And then this thing, as more people found out what we were doing, of course, people wanted to be part of it, which is awesome. But the whole idea is the next generation of home buyers, they're not going about it the same way that the last generation of first-time home buyers went about it. They learn differently. They go to different places to learn. They react differently to presentations and sales, all the things that you can imagine. And the other thing I would say is, when we talk about next gen loan officer, this is not an age thing. This is not about the next generation of young loan officers. This is about loan officers today who want to be relevant tomorrow, need to learn how to connect best with the next generation home buyer. And so I'm 55 years old. And so I'm learning in this book about how to connect it meaningfully with that younger cohort who makes up the current and next 10 years of first-time home buyers.
Let's go deeper on that cohort. So how is this next generation of buyer learning about the home buying process? How are they discovering houses, discovering the mortgage process, and how does that differ from what we've seen in the past?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that I see, and I know you guys have kind of highlighted this at your events and in your across all your platforms, it's where they're going to learn. Where do they start learning, and how soon and how early, are the younger millennials and the older Gen Zs, they're going to TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, that they're learning from others, right? Other experts or financial influencers or finfluencers, whatever you want to call them. That's where they're starting. That's where they're going to learn, right? And so absent a loan officer today being part of that learning process, they're then hoping when that person is now ready to buy, they may have been in this learning process for 12 months or a year and a half or 2 years. And now the loan officer, if they're going to do things the way they were done in the past, which is typically wait for the referral, which we're not saying that's a bad idea. That's still going to be part of the process going forward. But based on, what we're seeing in the market and different research that's out there and real life experience with loan officers that are having success in this model, is being part of that education and preparation process builds trust and puts you in a spot to be in a position to win the business. That doesn't say you're going to win it, but you're at least, have an opportunity to win if you're part of that early nurturing and education process.
Is this next generation getting good information from TikTok?
Well, that's a really good question. I would say yes and no, because there's probably really good information that they're getting, and there's probably terrible information they're getting, but they're probably going to keep going until they feel like they're getting trusted, information they can trust. Right. That's actually that's going to be a great question to kind of look at over a period of time to see, based on who's out there and educating at scale, and then, who's following them, what percentage of those people are actually turning into home buyers? Are they learning enough in a fast enough way to accelerate their readiness?
Can I add that I think the answer is closer to no than yes, because what we're seeing mostly on social and TikTok, specifically to your question, is young originators that are willing to get in front of the camera, that have been doing this for 18 months. And so now they're showing up as God's gift to financial security and home ownership. And I know the 50-year-old, the 60-year-old lenders that have been doing this for 3 decades. This isn't their first rodeo with what we've experienced in the last 18 months. And those are the ones that are the most fearful of putting themselves out there. When I'm like, but you know everything. You've experienced the failure. You have the wisdom. Quit letting these young people that think they know what they're talking about show up because they're prettier than you and don't have bags under their eyes and have fewer wrinkles. Like, I think this next generation of home buyer, I think they really want to trust the LO that looks like their grandpa because they trust their grandpa. I don't think they go, dude, look at that old fart. I don't think that's what they're saying. And so, Clayton, I think we need, which is part of why we wrote this book, we need the seasoned LO to adapt to the time we live in and go, you know what? Yeah, I'm old and a little overweight, but you know what? I love this industry and I love educating people, and we are losing a generation that thinks they know what they're doing, but don't. And so, man, that's the person that I want to be more front and center.
So this doesn't have to specifically be about age, but there has been a conversation point, at least, I don't know if it's a truth, in real estate and in mortgage, that people do business with people that are like them, whether they meet them at their neighborhood barbecue or they went to college together or they're cousins. Like there's an attraction point of like, hey, I'm buying my first house at age 32. This guy I've known for a decade is now a loan originator. I'm going to do business with him. Is that not what you think is going to play out? You think it's going to be like this first time home buyer is going to look to the stately veteran who's done thousands of mortgages instead of someone who's 18 months in?
I just think they're going to look to the person that, one, they see the most.
Yeah.
But two, that they trust. And I think we've put too much on, like, we just trust people that look like us. Right? So, like, who's Kyle's ideal audience? Fat white guys with beards and a comb-over. Like, is that who I'm allowed to serve? Because those are my data points, right? Like, some of my favorite people in my life are 30 years older than me. And I think they're freaking cool, right? And I would buy anything they sell because I trust them completely with my life because they continue to show up. And so I think, like, attraction is so much bigger than just, like, we have to be directly aligned. Because I think it's more about like two of my favorite people on the planet are my parents. So when I meet people that remind me of my parents, that's an incredible brownie point in my scoring system. Not, yeah, but that also means you're getting older. And, you know, so I think we've kind of short-sighted like what trust should look like. Because season of life, it's different.
I want to go deeper in the learnings from the interviews in the book, but let's talk about platforms for a second. So like Brian has demonstrated a lot of success on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn seems to be a platform that rewards expertise and knowledge sharing. From my experience on the video first platforms like Instagram and TikTok, sometimes it's the creativity, the trending video, or trending audio that like drives engagement and drives reach over the actual like context of the message. Kyle, how do you think about that? How do you help the veteran? I don't know if veteran's the right word, but like the person who's been in the industry for multiple cycles and like knows the ups and the downs, knows lending in high rate environments and low rate environments and refi cycles and purchase cycles. Like, how does that person get past the way the video algorithms prioritize content?
Man, I don't think they need to get past it.
Okay.
What I believe so to my core is every mortgage person on the planet knows more people already than they're currently getting business. And so we've created this false sense of truth with social media that says, oh, you need your business to grow? You need leads, man. Go get you some leads. There's plenty of companies out there that'll help you get lead. When I'm going, what? For what? You already have 2,500 friends on Facebook and you got 80 loans last year. Those people have already raised their hand and said, like, I love you. You're awesome. I trust you. And we're going to go step on their backs to go preach to strangers that might say yes at 1%, if we're lucky, of our efforts. And so I'm just a big fan. That's why I said 400 views at the beginning. And I didn't say 400,000 views. Because our ego, Clayton says, I need to go viral to be validated. But when you already know what you're gifted at, and I don't need outside validation because I know who I am, I just need the right few hundred people paying attention to me. And so I think a lot of LOs right now, they can be crushing Instagram with 500 followers. Now, does the world say they're crushing Instagram? No. But their bank account could, if they just chose to show up every single day for the people they already know. And so that's really my way of like cutting through that noise. And if somebody wants to go chase virality, you know what? Like, go for it. Good luck. I hope it happens. But that's just not most people. And so I steer very far away from wanting that to be the desired outcome.
So we just talked about the NextGen home buyer and some of the trends on how they're consuming content, where they're finding knowledge. Brian, since you're the 34 and you're combined 34 years of experience, give us a better glimpse into what the NextGen originator looks like and what qualities need to be shed or embraced to be that NextGen originator.
Yeah, I think so. Kyle and I have had the privilege and pleasure of proofing these chapters as they've been submitted. And so what I would tell you is that the book is organized in a way that I think addresses those attributes that next generation loan originator needs to possess or have, right? So we have a group of experts that kick off this book that talk about mindset. And these are, people that that are part of your events, that the industry knows and trusts, that are sharing, selflessly sharing kind of their expertise around mindset. So we purposely kick off the book with mindset, and there's a cool chapter at the end of that first section that's it's a realtor, a friend of Kyle's who's a realtor, who basically says, okay, guys, let's get real here. Let me tell you what realtors really think about you, loan officer. Oh man, it's fire. And so he kind of puts it out there, and so we start with mindset, because I think no matter what the market is, no matter rates are 7 or 3, the winners always have that winning mentality, and it's really a mindset thing. So we kind of kick it in gear with mindset, and then we go right into personal branding, because that is one of the big challenges that kind of the veteran originators maybe struggle with. They have their personal brand with their referral sources, but the same way loan officers are aging up, so are referral sources, right? And so, this is not just about facing off with the next gen home buyer. It's also facing off with the next gen referral source or sources. So we have a section on personal branding where our experts really get in the weeds on getting comfortable in front of video and refining your message and just building that confidence that goes with that personal branding. And then we go right into kind of the social media strategy. Greg Scher, who I know is opens that section talking about the fact that this is a strategy. Social media is a strategy that is winning in mortgage today, and he shares some of his expertise and experience there. And then we've got some folks that have been successful on the origination side using social as a strategy to build their business, build their pipeline. And then we have a group of folks who lean in. Their model is to lead with education. So they truly are educators first, originators second. And so we talk about the importance of education and advocacy for our industry. And we've got some folks that are focused on the veteran community, and they share the importance of treating our veterans, as it relates to home buying and financing with the respect that they deserve. And so there's some great insights there. And then our closing section it's a little bit of a potpourri of chapters, but we talk about the right tech stack and tools that the modern loan officer, should be paying attention to. And then we wrap the book up with another friend of Kyle's who kind of closes that. We start with mindset, and then we close with a different flavor of mindset to kind of bring it all together. So this is not a technical how to originate a mortgage book. There's plenty of those out there. This is really everything from mindset to technology and everything in between to show up and be that successful next gen modern loan officer.
Well, I like that framing of starting with mindset and ending with mindset. So as we bring this conversation to a close, which gives a preview of rethinking everything for the next gen loan origination strategy, let's go a little deeper on mindset, Brian and Kyle. So we focus a lot on mindset at HousingWire. It's been a topic of content. It's going to be a topic on stage at our event, The Gathering, which is coming up in April. Last 18 months been relatively tough environment to operate in a mortgage. We've seen mortgage rates shoot through the sky, a lot of uncertainty, changes in volume, refi fall off the face of the earth. But we are seeing the people with the right mindset start to aggregate and gain market share. So, Brian, as you went through this book and pulling together these experts, what trends did you see regarding the mindset of the experts that was starting to separate them? Give us a glimpse there.
Yeah. I as I read the chapters that were submitted, I was also kind of doing this inventory because I talk to loan officers and lenders every day. It's part of what part of my day job here at FinLocker, right? And I was starting to connect the dots on the lenders and loan officers that I'm talking to from a biz dev perspective for FinLocker. And it hit me that in my day job, I tend to talk to mostly positive people. And I'm like, why is that? And,
like attracts like.
Well, I don't know if that's it or not. I try to be as positive as I can, but when I thought about my product's not going to help someone that just is, Eeyore waking up every day in a with that negative mindset. And so I think products like what we do at FinLocker and some other technology products tend to also gravitate people that are innovative and have a fresh way of thinking about things. And so I don't know that we can change, some of the people that are just born in negativity. Sadly, it is what it is for them, but there are plenty that are at that positive spectrum, but there's a lot in the middle that we think we can help get to that positive side. And so, which is why we were real intentional about opening the book with some well-known folks and names in that mindset space.
Kyle, you want to jump in there? As the therapist, the unofficial therapist. What trends have you seen around mindset? What kind of separates people with a positive mindset from the rest?
So we got to interview Del Vermillion on our podcast this morning, and I asked Del this question, and Del wrote a chapter in our book, and man, what he said is so simple. And I think we love to overthink what we're bad at because it gives us excuses as to why we don't have to change. And Del said, stop turning on the news in the morning. Stop looking through your email first thing in the morning and getting stuck in your day and getting negative crap thrown at you from every channel on TV, and go do something positive. Go have conversations with people. And I really think it is as simple as that, is we become what we consume. And most of us spend time consuming way more negative content than we do positive. And then I take that negative mindset into the next potential transaction. And we know those clients can feel that. We know those clients can feel like, oh, are you assuming we're probably not going to qualify? Are you assuming that we're not going to want to say yes to a 6.9% interest rate? And we just carry those assumptions into strategies and opportunities. And I'm making your decision with my pocketbook. And then we wonder why we're failing more than we're succeeding. And so I think it really can be as simple as just being more aware of the content and the people that we're allowing to have influence over us. And a lot of people in the book talk to those things.
I love that you brought up Dale. He's actually going to be on stage at the gathering. He's doing a session with Todd Feger from Top Flight Financial on.
He shouted you out on the end of the podcast. Nice.
Got the whole, bringing the whole crew together here. It's the mindset thing. I just think is such incredibly important, because we all operate in stressful jobs and environments that are sometimes fun, sometimes not. We have to go home and see our families and not bring the weight of work home, but also try to take some of that energy you get from home or from exercise or whatever like motivates you and bring it back to the office. Because like clients they can sense and smell like a bad mindset from 10 miles away. And I know I and my wife hates when I say this, but I mean, success begets success and negativity begets negativity. And like things just like, it becomes very self-fulfilling, I believe.
So true.
Yeah. I would say this project, because of the nature of the people that have been part of it, the last 4.5 months have probably been among the most positive for me personally and professionally, because I've been surrounded by people like Kyle.
That's because you get to FaceTime me every day.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, gentlemen, can't thank you enough for sharing your time. Give us a glimpse into some of the learnings from this book, that if we do this right, we're gonna actually drop this episode on the same day that the book drops on Amazon. So we're going to try to get this right here. Thanks for sharing your expertise. Thanks for bringing together this group of experts in this book. I'm excited to read it. I'm excited to learn more. Thank you guys both very much.
Appreciate you, man.